Easy people, welcome back to my channel at Big Steve MCFC. And today we have a very, very special guest. I don't need to introduce him. Gael Clichy, 2012 Premier League winner, invincible. He's doing his thing. He's been over to Turkey. He's won the league there. He's scoring goals from the halfway line, even at his age. Gael, welcome to my channel and thank you. There's another game for that season. So we beat United. We can sense it. We're nearly there. We don't know what it feels like. We never felt like it. We play Newcastle, St. James's Park. We get in the car early doors. We drive to Newcastle. Not really saying much to lads in the car. Everyone's a bit, whatever. We get in a pub outside the ground. There must be 300 City fans in this pub, yeah? We're on the verge of winning a league. Not one person is saying a word to anybody, right? It's so quiet. Nobody's speaking. Everyone's just letting it, all right? Nobody's talking about what's going to go on in the game, right? I'd never felt nerves like it. I say that now. I did a podcast and I mentioned this game. I did a podcast, 5 games that define me as a City fan, and this is in my 5. And people say, well, you didn't, but you just have to understand the feeling I got that game I'd never had before. I was so nervous, and I'm thinking the worst. I'm thinking we're going to lose, we're going to bottle it. Man United's going to win the league. We're going to be a laughing stock. I can't believe the season we've had, and we're going to end up with nothing. Blah de blah de blah. It gets in the ground. Bear in mind, I've got to walk 50 flights of stairs to the top of the away end because it's the worst in the world, right? So I'm knackered. I gets in the ground, and I'm sat next to the worst Man City fan I've ever sat next to in my life.
What's his name?
Yeah, I don't know his name. I don't know his name. I've never seen him to this day. He's the most nervous, he was up, he was down, he was grabbing me. I can't believe it. We're going to lose. What's he doing? Get him off. I had to say, mate, calm down, please. You're making me nervous, man. And in that game, the game was dragging on and on and on. It was getting deep into the game, 70 minutes. We'd still not scored. And then up pops the man, Yaya Toure. We wish we could pay you some more. He curls that bottom corner. The scenes in the City end, I've not seen anything like it for years. We were going mad, right? Mad. The guy next to me was happy. He was kissing me and that. He was made up. And then we're just still teetering on the edge of being a bit more nervous. Then Gael Clichy, the master of assists, he knocks the ball through. Did you pass it through someone's legs onto Yaya and then he scored the second?
Yeah, that's for the second, yes.
And then that was it then. That was when the first time in my life I'd ever heard the chant, we're going to win the league and now you're going to believe us. It took us to the second game to the end of the season because I think we were scared of singing it. And that's when I knew something was happening, man.
But a funny thing is that, what you just said about being next to a fan that was making you nervous because you never had it before. And, that's why players like Yaya or Carlos, when he came, me, in a way, when you have experienced certain things, it's like example now, it's a different story. But I'm in Servette now. I was in Servette and playing against young boys. For all the people at the club is like playing against Barcelona because they're the best in the league. So people are actually scared to play against them. Me, when I play against them, it's like you play qualifier against Champions League qualifier and you get them. You're actually happy. So my mind is like, we're going to destroy them.
Mindset.
You know what I mean?
Mindset.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you go into a game like that and you have player like Tevez and Yaya Toure and company and those kind of personality who, I'm not saying we were used to win against Newcastle, but the feeling is different, and that's why those players, Yaya coming from Barcelona, winning the Champions League, for him, that's a normal game, Yeah. And the more player you have, so now that's why the Champions League was important this year, because tomorrow you play another semi-final or a final, you don't approach the game the same way. That's why Vinny Company, when he goes to Burnley and we are in the moment where you have to perform, he can walk into the dressing room and say to the guys, calm down. We've been playing and we've been performing for 6-7 months. Yeah. We will do it. I'm not telling you just out of my hat. I can feel that. You know that there are energy and there are things that you
Definitely.
don't control things, but the way you work and the way you project yourself is experience that talk. And that's why when we go into that game and you have Yaya Toure performing and scoring, you know, a brace, having a brace, it's normal. Then you go to Madrid in Champions League a few years later at the Bernabeu, and Yaya is taking the ball from his own half, dribble past 5 players of Madrid and setting up goals. That's normal for him. There's no stress, and that's why those players are being paid so much money, because they've lived through it already. They know what it means, and you need that. So that game, if we compare your experience and our experience, again, we couldn't say that we were going to win, because it's one of the most horrible place to go. You know, it's very difficult ground to go. But we were confident, man. You know, like literally we knew that we were going to win. So there's already that percentage of chance that you lose. But within the team, there was no stress, no panicking. We came back, we're going to close the gap, and we're going to go forward. You know, so that's very important. But that's why some moments are defining the future of the club. And some players are giving you an edge compared to other players, you know, and that's the reality of a football club. You know, when you've been there and you've done it, it doesn't mean that you're gonna win, but it just means that you have guarantee of how things can go.
And what do you think of Yaya Toure as a player? I mean, the guy was, I mean, his players got statues at Manchester City. There was an argument about him maybe getting a statue. The only blemish on Yaya's record from a City fan point of view, it's not even a blemish. It was like, he had a lot of, the agent at the time had a lot to say. The birthday cake thing and all that didn't go down well with City fans, because we loved him, you know what I mean? And I just wish at the time he would have just came out and gone, that's a load of nonsense. Ignore my agent. He needs to shut up. You know, I love this, I love that. But Yaya Toure for Man City, what he did, especially that season as well. I mean, there were some games where for 60, 70 minutes, he didn't even look like he wanted to be on the field. And then he'd pick the ball up and do something unbelievable, or to go on one of them runs. It'd be people swinging off his neck and everything. And then he was just like an enigma. And then when we signed him, I remember, I think Paul Merson did an article and said, Man City don't need him. He's a defensive midfielder, stroke centre half. Why are they paying this money for him? But Yaya Toure was just a breath of fresh air. And I've never seen anyone grab the Premier League like that from midfield and just drive it forward. I mean, you playing with him, you know, sometimes I can imagine him being a little bit frustrating. But when he was ticking and when he was purring, I think there was no one better in the world at the time.
But you see, that's exactly the point we were talking about and debating about Mario. You know, you guys as a fan, you like that proximity with the players. So if a player is accessible, you will, if you can access the player, and if you can be close to the player, you will like that. So I'm not saying, well, there's no comparison between Mario and Yaya, but the way you see Mario is different than how you see Yaya, and the way you see Mario is probably because you were closer to him, you know, him coming to the pub and being more there for you guys. So it was more there for you guys, but in terms of performances, you can't compare. But yet we kind of, you know, we are a little bit scared to give more credit to someone like Yaya because of the cake incident, because of him being sometime an outsider, is not available for the team, things like that we can hear. But that's the difference between a big player, because Yaya was up there with, obviously you have the Messi and Ronaldo, so you know you don't touch them, but he's up there with the second level of players, and those players don't act like the rest. So Yaya was never going to be that guy that make the fan happy in a way, if you know what I mean. He's not that player, and he's the guy that really doesn't care about making sure you guys love him, you know. His job is to be on the pitch. I came from Barcelona, I'm on big money, I've won everything. I came here because they told me we need to take the club to a different level. Did he do that? Yes, he did. Job done. Yes, the job is done. His class has probably the best 3 players ever in the Premier League on his position. There's no debate. I don't want to hear about is he or is he not. Is he arrogant? Is he frustrating sometimes because for 90 minutes, for 80 minutes he doesn't play, but then he scored the winner? That's football, you know, and you have to accept that it's hard. Even more so for me. I'm a defender. Defender, we think about not conceding, and we think about the whole balance of the team. So if you have a player who is not playing the way the team wants him to play, it's frustrating. But mate, he's the one who's gonna make you win game and eventually make you a better team. I'm not gonna make you a better team. So again, that's what I was saying before. Know your value, know what you are here for, and as long as you know, then you travel better. And Yaya is this. So no statue, that's for the club to decide. Has he done more than others? I think he did. You know, in terms of image, he was the first player coming from him and Carlos, you know, coming from United and Barcelona. That's not an easy task for any player to leave that and come there to go back there. They've done it. So you have to respect that forever.
No, I get that. I get that 100%. And like I say, we left that game. We came out the ground. We were singing, "We're going to win the league." And we were walking down towards the city centre in Newcastle. The Newcastle fans were all coming towards us, and they were shaking our hands and saying, "Go next week, win the league. We wish you all the best. Go win the league." And I was like, "Wow, this is happening." And for the week leading up to the QPR game, everyone's, "Steve, what do you think? You're going to win the Premier League." And then it was that, "You'll win the Premier League. You're only playing QPR at home. It's simple. Don't worry about that." And then I'm thinking, yeah, but you don't know what Manchester City are like. Obviously, because I've grew up with that mentality of it's going to go to shit. And you guys started to change that mentality for me. Me now, I've got the heart of a lion. I'm a champion. I'm a treble winner. I'm a European Cup winner. I'm different me now. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not that, "Oh shit, it's going to go wrong." I'm like, we're steamrolling everyone. We're doing this, we're doing that. And on my podcast, I try to be so positive to the younger fans. And I say, look, come on. All we can do is get behind this team. There's not what we can do on the pitch. We've just got to get behind the guys and all that. But the build up to the game, one league win away from winning the first Premier League title. We gets to the ground in the morning. Beautiful sunshine. There's a guy selling champion scarves. And I said to him, "Mate,
did you buy one?
You need to do one with them scarves, mate, because that is making me worse." Because I'm like, and he's like, "Well, you're going to win the league." And people were so blasé about it. And I was like, and I remember getting to the pub, and it was a bit of a party atmosphere. Everyone was really singing and getting involved. And, you know, "We're going to do it today." And thinking about what we're going to do afterwards and that. And then, you know, that was from a fan point of view. I was like, I wasn't partying, but I was very, very nervous, and I just wanted to get it over with. I mean, you guys, the players, you've come so far together. You've pulled it back. You know, night before the game, I don't know if are you in a hotel or are you with the families? I mean, how are you feeling? How are you getting prepared for what's going to happen that next day? Is it running through your mind?
I'm getting prepared to put my hands for the second time on the trophy of the Premier League. Personally, there's nothing in the world that can be different or can make me think that it's going to be different. We're playing at home. Like I said, you know, during the whole year, the whole process to get there is positive. We playing away at Newcastle and playing like that. I'm talking to the players of Newcastle player, and they're telling me, you know, because it was the beginning of statistics, so people could, you know, the GPS, you could track how much you ran and the cross and blah blah blah. So I'm talking to the French guy of Newcastle, and they're telling me, "Wow, guys, we've been tracking your season, and you guys are just, you know, last 10 minutes you keep on running full speed. There's no weakness in your team. You know, you're playing ball, you're scoring goals, you're strong defensively. You go into that game, one hand on the trophy." Like, if I'm being honest, and it's been like this. The mentality is exactly this. You know, you guys are thinking, "Oh, maybe we are going to blow it," but we're not thinking like that. And maybe that's the reason we were a little bit shaken, because we were so confident that nothing could go wrong, that you kind of, I don't know, elite sport. We're talking, the margin is like 3-4%. You know. So you drop 3-4% for whatever reason, and then something happened. So maybe it's like a little bit of being overconfident. You know, maybe if we played away from home, it would have been different. Maybe if we played against a team who needed to win to play Europe with a little bit more quality, maybe we would have been more focused. I don't know, you know. But when we start from the night before, there's no doubt in my mind. In my mind and everybody, we know that's going to happen. We know we're going to lift the first trophy of, CD for so many years. We started, really well, scoring the goal. And then the rest is accumulation of the stress coming up, showing up a little bit, the tension, and what's worse is that, you're not losing the title because you came short last 4 games of the season, you're losing the title for 1 goal, at one point. Yeah. So that's, it's hard to swallow. But in the end, if we look during the whole year and the whole process, and we can even talk from the year before winning the FI Cup, it's normal procedure. And the rest is just going to get better and better. I remember my wife, when we won the title, she told me, I hope you enjoy this, baby. And I said, yeah, of course, it's great. And she told me, I don't want to be a party pooper, but just know that what you guys are living now is just the beginning. You're just building the foundation of what's coming next. And I never 100%. Thought of that, because when you're in the moment, you think what we're doing is phenomenal, which was at the time. But she told me, enjoy that, because in a few years, you will realize that what you did obviously was needed, but what's coming in a few years is going to be like, we will never see this. We would have never seen this in football. And now I'm looking back and I'm thinking 5 titles in 6 years, a treble. She was spot on, right. And I'm like, when we spoke a few weeks ago, and I was like, baby, how could, obviously we could all see that the machine, the train was going stronger and stronger. But at that time, on the first year, I was like, she told me this, and I was like, yeah, whatever, whatever. But she was spot on, and there's no way to stop that machine right now, So, yeah, congratulations to everybody, really.
So we get into the game, 1-0 up, Pablo Zabaleta, party time. Everyone's bouncing. United's winning 1-0 at Sunderland. We don't care. We're going to win the Premier League. And then bang, bang, 2-1 down. QPR. I'm thinking, shit, What are you thinking on there? Are you looking for inspiration? Are you thinking, nah, we're going to do this? Or are you genuinely thinking, as that clock's ticking later and later, are you genuinely thinking, shit, we've dropped a bollock here? Because Mancini on the touchline was going mental. And at one point, he looked like he was insulting everybody anywhere near him. So
that's the lack of English. That's the lack of English. That's why he was insulting players.
Because if I'm a lacquer player and I'm looking for an inspiration and I look to my manager and he's calling me every name under the sun, I'm panicking a little bit. I can't lie. So I don't know how you must have felt at that time.
To be fair, at 2-1, we know we still have a goal in us, Like I know we have a goal in us. Then obviously when the time is passing and then you get to really close to the end, obviously you start to think, but you have a goal in you. And in football, if you have a goal in you, everything
can... one point, though, honestly, where you thought we fucked it up?
Yes, at one moment, I picked up the ball to do a throw-in, and I can see a boy crying in the stand. I can see a young fan with his dad, and I can see him crying. And at that time, I'm thinking to myself, we blew it. We actually, at home, which, I mean, it's like it's a fraction of second. I have to make the throw in, and then I see this boy, and I'm thinking, what have we done? Like, how is it possible?
All that hard work, every game, all that 6-1 Old Trafford, 5-1 at Tottenham, everything come down to that, and you think, shit, we've blown it.
Yeah, and you think at that time, yeah, we have a goal in us, but you look at the little boy, and you see it could have been a great day. And we went on and just at home, we lose it at home. So at that time, we won't lie, when it's 2-2 and so you scored that goal with Edin. Again, we spoke about him before, impact player. No one else could score that goal. So, and then you still have a few minutes where you think, yeah, that's destiny. 2-2 at home. You're not losing the game. It's just by 1 goal. It's not like I said before. It's not like 5 games.
I was sat in the south stand, and 2-1 down. The minutes are ticking. I'm thinking we're fucked. And then I slumped into my chair, and my friend who's next to me, he's my best friend. He goes home and away with me since Main Road. And he said, come on, man. Come on, man. And I said, Paul, I said, I cannot physically give this team any more than I've given it. I said, if they can't beat QPR at home to win the Premier League, I said, then, do you know what? I said, we're never going to win it. We're cursed, yeah? And Edin scored straight after me and him had that conversation. Edin scored. So the pure pride comes out. Come on, get back, get the ball back, come on. And then my friend, United season ticket holder, he's at Sunderland, yeah? And the Etihad Stadium is shit for Wi-Fi. You never get nothing. And then I get a text message. This is true. And it come up in capital letters. And he said, we are the champions. That's what he texted me, yeah? United. And out of pure pride, out of pure shithousery, because there was still 60 seconds left or whatever, I text back, not yet, you're not. And the second that text got sent, I seen Balotelli slide, put the ball to Aguero, and he smashed it in. And the noise in that stadium and the scenes in that stadium, in the stands, I can't even describe it. And people ask me on podcasts about moments, but that moment was unbelievable. It felt like the roof was going to come off. I mean, and to sort of dangle the Premier League in front of your deadliest rivals just so they can just about to touch it and then snatch it away like we did like that and win it in that way made it so sweet. And there's a famous clip of you running to Joe Hart and holding each other, and the pure emotion that you can see in your face and Joe Hart's face just summed up how we was feeling in the stands, and how that is how we was embracing our friends. We were hugging strangers. We were kissing people. There were kids flying all around the South Stand getting launched. Nobody knew where those kids had gone. It just went mad. But explain to me that emotion when that goal went in from Sergio. How you felt with that? Have you ever felt anything like it? Can you describe it? Did you hear the noise? Was it just blank?
I'm gonna be a bit silly there, because we just, like, few weeks ago we just did the treble. So what I'm gonna say is very silly, like literally. But the emotion of that moment, I'm not sure it can even be matched to that treble emotion. Why? Because City now is a different machine.
Yeah.
They're smashing everybody. They just smashed Madrid like it was a friendly game, like a preseason game. So in a way, and that's football. That's football. When you raise the bar that high, the emotions are different, and you perceive and receive feelings a little bit differently. So I'm not saying that moment where Sergio hit the ball and he goes in is higher in terms of emotions, not in terms of achievement, but in terms of emotion. I don't think the treble can match that.
I've experienced both, and I'm going to tell you the truth. You were right. You're correct.
You see?
The Aguero motion, the European Cup was a relief, and it was like, yes, we've done it. You could feel it, but we didn't really feel that we was going to win that league, because the typical City was in the chest. And at 2-1 down, typical City came. I know people left that stadium.
Yeah, of course.
Never seen it. And that's because the City came out. The typical City, they let it get out, and it took over them, and it take them out of the stadium. With me, I kept it here. It was nearly there, but I kept it there. And but the emotion, as you said, was unreal.
So for that, when Sergio scored, it's like for a few minutes it's blurred. So it's like you remember it, but you don't really remember it. So it's like when he scored, I don't know what I'm doing, to the point when I reach Joe, and we just like hugging. So there's this few seconds where I really don't know what's going on, So now I know, because I've seen the highlight, I've seen how Sergio took his shirt off and everything. But if you ask me straight after the game, what happened? There's a picture of Sharon, the photographer, that talk in the dressing room, and I'm just in the dressing room. I'm sat, and there's like a series of photo, maybe 10, 15 pictures. She's not taking me; she's taking the whole dressing room, and you can see me like this, like behind, and I'm just drained out. you know, literally not knowing what just happened. So you know what you did, you know what happened, but in a way you don't realize, you know, the treble, you kind of, okay, we won against Arsenal, and then it's just a matter of time when we get the cup, then the FA Cup, you get it, but everybody expected City to win. You know, we were even sad because it was just like we didn't destroy Man United, if you know what I mean. You know, we went to Wembley, we played better, but everybody was saying like, you know, it's not a great game. We just won the double, you know, so the emotion should be, and then we go on to the Champions League final, and it's like, yeah, but City didn't play well. They just won 1-0. You know, it should have been more. You know, that's high. That's how high the club is now. You know, people expect. So that
mentality's changed. Everything's changed now.
Of course,
mentality. And like you say, in Istanbul, it felt like a relief. I had these big plans. I not had a drink for 4 years. My own choice, just a lifestyle change. My friend said, if we win the treble, are you having a drink? I said, yeah, 100% we'll have a drink. We came out the stadium and we went to the town, and my mate said, you having a drink? And I went, no. He went, why? I said, because I was knackered. So we went and had some food. We ate some food. We didn't even party. We went back to the hotel, and I just lay on the bed in the hotel, and there's a song, The Impossible Dream. And my granddad, he's a big City fan, he passed away, and at his funeral, they played this song, The Impossible Dream. So I always play this song, and it makes me upset. But the words, The Impossible Dream, was always us winning the European Cup. That was my impossible dream. And every time I play this song, it makes me cry. I got back to the hotel and I thought, I'm going to put the song on. I'm going to lie on the bed. I'm going to have an emotional moment, yeah? And I put the song on and I didn't cry. I just laughed and I smiled. And it was like closure for me. And it was like my journey's gone full circle from the second division, being 19th in League Two, getting beat at York, coming out York City fans singing You're Not Famous Anymore. From going from there to lifting the European Cup in Istanbul and winning a treble, it was like, wow. And the journey started with you guys, 2012, what you did. You got that mentality where it had to be. You broke the shackles off the fans as well, because we had the weighing us down about this typical City that we could never get out of our soul. And with the Aguero moment, we done it. And what proved that, year after last year, 2-0 down to Aston Villa at home again. Half time, guy comes up to me, goes, Steve, we've blown it. We've finished it. They go, we're going to Liverpool. I went, calm down. I went, do you remember the Aguero moment? He went, yeah. I went, well, remember that moment, because if we can do that moment, we definitely can come back from this. And at the end of the game, I'm running on the pitch and all the fans are on the pitch and the same guy, he came running towards me and he grabbed me and he said, thank God, Steve, you talked some sense into me about that. We're a different football club now than that days. And that is it. And I think now the Man City whole club from top to bottom has changed so much. And the mentality, when people say you need to get this mentality, it's correct, because we was thinking we wasn't going to do it. And when you speak about mentality, it was so relevant this season, because we were going up against one of your old teams, Arsenal, who were fantastic. They started the season so well. They got their noses in front. Manchester City was sort of up, down, stop, start. Haaland wasn't really doing it, and he wasn't getting the ball, and this, that, and the other. But I always said, if we can keep on the coattails till the last 10 games of the season and keep the pressure on, then there's nobody does it different like Man City. And when we talk about mentality, what Arsenal did last season was brilliant. But they're coming up against a monster and a machine in Manchester City. And I knew that if we could get to that last 10 and be in touching distance, then we'd do it.
It'll be different.
I mean, you've lived it, and you've been in this as a neutral fan, as a City fan, Arsenal fan. You've been involved this season, and I bet it's been so hard because you've been in the middle of it both. But you must have knew in your head that last 10 games was going to be advantage Man City.
But you know what you just said about that game against Villa being 2-0 down. What I told you with having big players like Yaya who've lived it, Tevez or whatever, that's important, because at that time you have that feeling, and that feeling gives you that sense of, I know we can do it again. You know, it's not because you've lived it once or twice or 3 times that it means that every time you're going to do it. But it means that, that extra 5% that I was talking before about is that belief that you've done it once and you can do it again. You know what I mean? So it's exactly it. And if you come back to that season with Arsenal and City, everybody knew. I think even the Arsenal fan knew, in London, that if the league was still on for the last 10 games, even them knew that it was always going to be difficult, because it's all about experience. It's just, we're not talking about a tennis match when it's 1-1, and even if I have more experience than you, but on the day you are better than me, then it's hard. If I'm not performing, you will just get. Now we're talking about 25 players who've won the World Cup, player who've won the title 4 times, player who've been to the champion, whatever. They've been here for 12 years. We're not talking about a 1-1 battle. We're talking about a 25 man having that feeling that you felt against Villa. Is 20 times that feeling. You are going to go over the line. If you are not 15 points behind, the last 10 games, there's no way you can keep up. There's no way, because even if a player, I remember a player, Etienne Capoue. You remember he played for Tottenham?
Yeah.
In Watford. I remember he was at Toulouse, my hometown in France, and he did an interview on the newspaper in France, and he was saying basically, because he was playing well, and he was saying basically, pressure don't get to me, And then I come across him in the national team, and I said, I think this is wrong what you said, I think you shouldn't talk like that, because playing for Toulouse, a team that is just in the middle of the league, and we don't expect you to perform. If you lose against the top 4, it's obvious. If you win, then you're part of a great generation. It's easy to play that football,
Yeah.
When you get to top elite football and you have to perform against United, against QPR, against Newcastle, against Middlesbrough, now it's a different game, because every game is a must win. And that's different. That's a different game. We play the same sport, but it's a different game. So I said, you shouldn't talk like that. So we have in that team of Arsenal amazing talent, and probably over the next few years they're going to be there for sure, because there are plenty of talent. But right now the pressure will get to you, and this is normal, and it's not one player, it's not 2, it's nearly 20 players that will feel that feeling. It's a process. It takes time. You want to cook a good meal, you need to cook every ingredient slowly, and it takes time, and at the end you have the final meal and you can enjoy it. You don't throw everything in it and hope that you're going to have a great meal. It doesn't work like that. So you need time, and that season for them was like the process to go and get stronger. And obviously if they make the right transfer, they will come. But of course the last 10 games, if City was still in touch with them, it was always going to be how we predicted it. You always have a chance to change and to rewrite the story, but we all knew that 10 games into in last 10 games, reaching distance, City was always going to come strong for sure.
And listen, we could talk all day, me and you, because, like I say, we can go deep. But after Mancini, Pellegrini came in. You won another league with Pellegrini. Just a brief one on Pellegrini about how different of a manager was Manuel to Mancini. And I always thought that maybe Pellegrini didn't get the same love off the fans as what Mancini got. I remember his farewell at the end of one season, and nobody was there. I think more people wanted to go and get a beer, and I felt a bit sorry for him. But what was Manuel like? Was he just a bit more calmer? Was he just a bit more reserved, or did Manuel have his moments as well? Because he won the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but life is about timing, and why some players or some people are always in the light, because that's their destiny. And he was and he will always be the transitional manager.
Yeah.
After Mancini, we all knew we wanted Guardiola. The club wanted Guardiola. They couldn't go for Guardiola, so they took the most closest option to Pep in the way, the philosophy that they wanted, the offensive football, scoring goals. And when you look back, has he done the job? Yeah, he did it. Is it enough to be compared to the one who first won the title? Unfortunately not. Is it enough to be compared to someone who just won 5 titles in 6 years? and did the treble. It's unlucky, but that's life. It's hard to go to go after Thierry Henry. You know, if you're a striker at Arsenal, it's hard to be the number 10 of France. If you go after Zidane, it's hard to be the striker after Aguero. You know, all those things we know. And it's part of the journey, you know. It's part of the journey, and if tomorrow you're the most recognized face of the City fan because you have the channel and because you were there at the right time, you took the train, and anything that come behind maybe will be more in terms of quality better than what you are giving, for instance. But you, the guy, you started from zero and seen the treble, and this is history, you know. Why I arrived for the Invincible is destiny. You know, I didn't play much game, but I could have arrived the year before or the year after I arrived there. I could have decided to stay one more year at Arsenal to live on the free, and I would have missed the first title of City. Why? It's life, you know. And I think Pellegrini is in that place where he's not Mancini, he's not Pep, but has he done the job? He did, and he did really, really well. So, you know, he's very old school, very rigid in terms of what he wants. He was a manager that was really counting on few players. You know, for him, Yaya was the player, and Sergio was the player, and pretty much the team was more around them. You know, you could feel that. But an amazing manager. If you look at the result he had, you know, he did extremely well. But yeah, it's difficult to compare with the first one and to the one that came after. You know, it's unfortunate for him.
Talk to me a bit about Pep. Obviously, he came in at the end of your City career. You must have had some conversations with him. You must have seen his ideas and stuff. You know, is he such a revolutionary manager as they say? You know, training with him day to day. A lot of people, they say, Pep made me fall in love with football again, or Pep made me understand football different. And now I've always thought, okay, I get that, but you know, what did he do? Was it just a case of breaking things down into simpler terms? Was it a case of explaining things? I mean, how does a manager you've played for so many great managers, so how does this manager different from the others? How does he make this game? Because obviously we started playing out from the back with Claudio Bravo, good friend of yours, Joe Hart, City hero, legend, gone. We were like, what's going on here? What's going on? He wanted to play from the back, and look at the football we've seen, and he transitions it every season. We're seeing it now with these modern day inverted fullbacks, and John Stones going into midfield, and we had Fabian Delph playing at left back, who was a midfielder. We've had Zinchenko at left back and things like that. I mean, what was your experience of him? Even though it was a short time, what was your experience of him?
He never made me fall in love with football again, because my love for football is above that. But it definitely. It's funny because I'm a player. At the time I was 31. I'd won 3 titles, played with some amazing players, like the best that we've seen. Went to the Champions League final, semi-final of Champions League, whatever. And I literally felt that I was rediscovering football. And this is, you know, we're not talking about the 60 years old player coming post academy. We're talking about a player that, and I'm not a talented player, so I was always aware of what should be done to perform. You know, that was me. So when I'm seeing this guy at work, he just basically took my football work and ideas and just smashed it on the ground. So much that now I can look a Premier League game, international game, League One game, amateur game. I cannot detach myself from what I've seen with him that much. Now, it doesn't mean that his way is the only way to have success, obviously.
No.
But he just is so much into details, and he believes so much in his methodology. He makes his team believe so much in what he believes. As a player, he makes you believe that you are going to reach different level if you listen to what he says. There's not much flexibility in what you can do as a player, because you kind of need to stick to his plan. That would be the only downside in a way. But the impact that he has, and he has had, and that he will have in future, is so precise that you cannot detach yourself from having worked with him. It's difficult to kind of go back into football and just think and watch football again just as a fan. When you look at football, you see things differently. So much that, you know, I'm in Servette now, and I was really close with the manager. We changed the way we played. We're not playing the city way, but, you know, I've tried to bring some ideas. And players came to me now at the end of the season saying, it's so crazy because now when I watch football and when I watch Arsenal and City, because Arteta is very much, you know, copy paste of Guardiola with his idea, obviously, but he's very influenced by his ideas. The player at this level are coming and saying, I'm watching football with a different eye.
Yeah.
And it's exactly how I felt when I work with him. And you think that is so clear that football is basically, you see 3 + 2 makes 5, and I see 4 + 1 make 5, right? So there's different approach of it. But once you work with him, 3 + 2 makes 5, and that's all you see. So obviously, you know in football there's different philosophy and different view, but he's so clean on his idea, on his communication, on his desire to make this happen, that you cannot see something different. And that's why, you know, the lack of flexibility, you will see player coming out of the team, because you have some player that cannot adapt, some player that cannot evolve, some player that cannot really understand. And that's why you will only work with top clubs, because top player are very much adaptable. Cancelo coming inside, Zinchenko, Delph. So basically, he's taking you. Man, he just destroyed the football codes this year. You know, we used to have fast winger, and he decided that he didn't want those flashy players that will give you something extraordinary in 1 second. You want people that don't lose the ball. So if you think that team of City who won the treble is not as sexy and not as bankable as before, you know, you have 5 defenders, because Rodri can play centre back with Spain.
Yeah.
He decided to take the fullback out, because when you're a fullback, your idea is obviously to defend, but you always like that assist, that overload, that overlap, and that cross, and that beautiful balls. So you will always have a moment in the game that your behavior, it's not wrong, but your behavior as natural fullback will change the rhythm of the game. You know, you will want to overlap, and if you overlap, then you leave your team exposed. If we lose the ball at that level, you lose the ball up there, it's difficult to counter Vinicius and those players. So what he said, okay, I'm going to bring 4 centre back. A centre back doesn't care about going forward. He wants to win. You know, he wants to clean sheet. A centre back wants to do a clean sheet most of all. So he's lucky to have mobile centre back that can play with the ball. But now he has 5 players that are there for the cause, the defending cause, you know, and he has 5 players that can express themselves without losing the ball. So he basically changed the code of football, and his team just won the treble. So that shows you that his methodology and his vision is very much linked with City.
Always evolving.
You remember when I told you about City not thinking about the next transfer window, but they're thinking about 4 or 5 windows ahead. Pep is like, he's already thinking what I can do next year. You know, 4 centre back was good this year. Team are going to probably try to match us. He's already working on something else. Number 9 coming in the box to defend, whatever. And that's why the match between him, his staff, and the club is what we're seeing. You know, it's like the alchemy is like, the chemistry is just above anything that we've seen. And that's why we are all amazed. And that's why also the expectations are so high. And that's why we are not getting excited when we win 1-0 against Inter Milan and we didn't play well in Champions League, because the expectations are so high that if you don't reach those expectations, you feel a little bit underperforming, if you know what I mean. But to keep that expectation high and actually reaching those expectations is phenomenal. You know, it's like we're never going to see something like this again, you know. Wow. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic to hear that. And like you say, I'm going to finish it off, Gael. I know you're playing in Switzerland. I know you've got ambitions to be manager and that, and you know, and I know you're scoring goals from the halfway line, and you're on the shortlist for the Puskas Award. Just tell us about that goal. Did you mean it? Tell the truth.
Yeah, you know, if you ask the guy, even at City, that's if I can tell you about a dream goal, that was always my dream goal. In training, I was always trying to shoot from far. I do this pretty much every training session. I do it, and the funny story that I get the ball, in front of Mario, and then take a look. I see the keeper really high, and I said, let's try it, and then he goes in. But it's funny because during my whole career, I was thinking, when I was seeing those goals, I was thinking, what's gone, through the player's mind to kind of try this,
It's from there, yeah. Beckham and that used to do it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, why? It's like you care less, or I don't know. And then it just happened, and it just happened so suddenly. And then I believe in luck. I believe in, the stars to be crossing at the right time, the right moment. It's probably one of my last game because I'm considering, maybe stopping. My family was there, and it was the derby in Switzerland. So, when we were talking about sometime Pellegrini, you're in between two eras, and there's nothing wrong with that. You've done your job, but you're just there and about. And that was the moment. It was at home in the derby. The stadium was full. Beautiful goal. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask you a last question. Right, you get a managerial job, your first managerial job. You've got a time machine. You're allowed to go back to one player you've played with, and you can sign him for your new team on a free transfer. Only one. Who do you pick? To build a team around.
Wow.
Arsenal, City, France.
Oh my God, you can't really do this. That's not fair.
Right, but make it a City player then, because we're on a City channel.
Wow. Well, at a certain time, I would have probably said Patrick Vieira.
Yeah.
But in today's football, I think, wow, man, that's hard. It will either be John Stone as a centre back that can play right back and coming in, so you have like a free in one player, or Rodri, because I do believe those players that can swallow and accept the pressure and dictate the game are important in the way. If I'm a manager, that's how I would like to play. I don't know if I would be able to do it, but I think that player is very important. But that's a tough question, man. You are forcing me to leave out Henry, Bergkamp, Pires and company, and Aguero. So yeah, I think it will be John Stones for what he's done in the last part of the season, and Rodri, because Rodri I think is a complete player. So one of the two. Yeah, I know you said one, but that would be one of the two.
No, listen, Gael. I've took up enough of your time. 1 hour 30 minutes. This has been the best interview I've ever done. I think you've been open and honest. I think it's just flowed. And I know you've been a big supporter of Manchester City and Arsenal. And all I can say is, from a Man City fan's point of view, thank you for representing our club the way you did. Thank you for giving 100% all the time, and thank you for being a part of the foundation that has kicked on to what we are today. And all I'd just like to say is, I wish you well in the future. If you need a scout in England and you want me to go and watch some games for you, give me a call. I'll get in the car. I'll go and give you my honest appraisal. I'm pretty good at that. I won't even charge you anything because I owe you a lot. So if he's a player in the Northwest that wants to go to Switzerland, ring me up, say, go and look at him, Steve, and tell me what you think, and I'll tell you. But listen, mate, I'm gonna go. Go on.
I'm there. I've made history at Arsenal. I've made history at City. I went to Turkey and I made history. Switzerland, we finished second. It's a small achievement for the club. It's big. So I'm a worker, and what I did for the club is the least I could do. And that's why, if I'm a manager, that's why I would expect from my players. So yeah, good years that we spent. I'm pretty sure you guys will have some more. But it was nice to talk to you, man.
No, I wish you all the best, mate, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Speak soon.
Thank you, Gael.